Hello again, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Joe Hindy from AndroidAuthority.com, and in this video we're going to be talking about me. I'm really bad at talking about myself, so I'm just going to answer a whole bunch of questions. First question from Keith Myers. Are you going to downgrade to iOS 8 soon? Really, dude? Okay, so the first question from Keith Myers really was, how did I get into Android? On accident. Like you'll learn in this video, a lot of the best things that I've ever done were on accident and things I didn't intend on doing, but ended up doing anyway. I was browsing the T-Mobile website looking for a QWERTY keyboard, and I saw the Motorola Click. I thought the keyboard on it looked really nice. I mean, back then, that was a really good-looking, hardware keyboard on a mobile phone, so I bought that, and it was the worst smartphone I'd ever owned. It was actually the worst phone I'd ever owned. I'd owned dumb phones that I liked better than that phone. But I decided to give Android a second try because I liked, some of the things that I found on the operating system. So I got the HTC MyTouch 3G Slide. And then after that, I left T-Mobile, went to Sprint, and got the HTC Evo 4G. And that phone is what really launched my interest in Android. I rooted it. The root community for the HTC Evo is near legendary. There was always something to flash, there was always something to do. I started joining IRC channels and talking to people all the time about kernels and ROMs and all that stuff, and that's really what started my interest in Android. Question number 3. Why did you decide to review applications and not hardware? Was it because that market is overly saturated, or because AA specifically asked for one? It was a little bit of column A and a little bit of column B. I've always loved software more than hardware. I really never did care what was in my computer or in my smartphone, but rather, as long as it could run the things that I needed it to run, I don't care what's in it or the operating system or anything like that. Whatever works is what I use. So, you look at smartphone reviewers and they get to, review 50 to 100 devices per year. I get to do that to 50 to 100 apps per month. The application market is always interesting. There's always something coming out. So it's job security. I always have something to do. Next question. How do you manage to avoid being influenced by your peers' hate/biased against/towards certain smartphones/manufacturers? How are you able to stay unbiased? I want you to know it took me 4 tries to read that question. Okay, so seriously, no one is unbiased, not even me. I am biased toward a bunch of things. If you go back and watch any of my Final Fantasy reviews, I downplay the outrageous price point of those applications because I love them. I love Final Fantasy, and I know that gamers are going to get 40 hours of gameplay, so I'm like, $15? Psh, not so bad. When in reality, I know that $15 is a huge deal for some people, and they don't want to pay that much. So, even I'm not totally unbiased. I try to be as much as I can, and I try to look at everybody's use case when I review applications, but it's impossible to do. So, no matter who you watch or who you read, there's always going to be some of that personal opinion that gets thrown in with all of their work, and you just have to figure out what their personal opinion is. Let me give you an example. A couple of years ago, Sprint released the Epic 4G Touch. It was the Galaxy S2 variant for Sprint. And there was a modem issue. The phone would randomly lose its signal, and to get it back, you had to reboot the phone. And when bloggers got a hold of that, they were all like, "Oh, Samsung, you never do your phone, you never update your phones or anything, so it's gonna remain broken forever." And then Samsung fixed it. They released a patch 2 months later, and then they had the problem totally fixed in 4 to 6 months. But then the Nexus 5 had a similar problem. Phones weren't receiving phone calls, and I think people were missing some text or something like that. And when the bloggers got a hold of that, they were like, well, the smartphones are all, it's a complicated thing, and these things happen, so, just keep your, put your heads back onto your necks and don't freak out, and Google will have a fix for this soon. And when you add it all up, you're like, well, clearly they are biased against Samsung, and, they are biased toward the Nexus devices. But at the end of the day, when you look at what's actually being said, both of these phones have the same problems, both of these phones were fixed in the same time frame, and then so you look at it like, well, Samsung did just as well as Google did in this case. And that's the key to being unbiased, is to look at the facts as opposed to what people are saying about the facts. Next question. How is staying with cats? It sucks. For some context, I'm allergic to cats. Next question. Have you ever compellingly exemplified proactive articulating in converged, data-driven establishments? Yes. Next question. How much time are you on the phone and on the internet? I'm a blogger, dude. I'm on the internet constantly. Next question is a 2-parter. Are you a hardcore gamer, and what type of game is your favorite? But yeah, so like my favorite games, like I said, are Final Fantasy and Halo. I'm also a big fan of the EA Sports NHL series because I'm a huge hockey fan. And that's the big three really. It rounds it out. Is Final Fantasy, NHL series, and Halo. I do play some other stuff. Like I'm playing LA Noire right now. I've played Dragon Age. I played a bunch of PC games. But I don't think I consider myself hardcore. I'm just not that far into it. I don't have I like the Xbox One, the PS4, and PC equally, and I guess that makes me different. So no, I don't consider myself a hardcore gamer, but I do love to game. So I guess maybe, if that's the only prerequisite to being a hardcore gamer, maybe I am a hardcore gamer. Okay, next question. Since your job is reviewing applications on Android Authority, what part of it do you love the most, and what part of it do you love the least? The part I love the most is helping people. I know it sounds, like something that you would script for a PR release, but I really do love to help people. It's something that when I first started writing, I worked for XDA developers, and let me tell you something, nobody is happier than when somebody at XDA developers makes the front page. I used to get private messages all the time that people were like, oh my god, I made the front page, this is the happiest I've been all month, and you really made my day and all that stuff, and I guess I just never got tired of having that feeling. My favorite part is also my least favorite part in that I have to deal with a lot of people. There are a lot of people who need help, but there are a lot of people who don't deserve help, and I don't like being that person who has to divide that, like, oh, this person deserves help, this people doesn't. But I do get a lot of things like emails like, hey, review my Flappy Bird clone, hey, review my Swingcopter clone, hey, review my Clash of Clans clone, hey, review my clone, or review this game, or I just learned how to program this last week and I did a Hello World app and I would really love it if it could be featured on Android Authority. And, to those people, I'm like, you guys need to try harder. Please, I want to write about you. I want to help make you successful and help you sell 1 million applications. But you're sure as hell not going to do it by sending me your Flappy Bird clone. So yeah, that's my least favorite part. Next question. Tell us what you get up to before Android or what you do outside of technology. Outside of technology, I don't really do all that much. I hang out with my girlfriend and our 3 dogs all the time. Our 3 dogs, Evie, Luna, and Dexter, is a black lab, and 2 of them are brown because I don't know what they are. And I actually been meaning to ask Jace about that because he's apparently the dog whisperer. But yeah, even when I'm outside of technology, I'm still doing stuff that's inside of technology. When I hang out with my girlfriend, we play video games. When I hang out with my roommates, we play video games or watch nerdy stuff on television. I do like to read a lot. But other than that, I'm a pretty boring person outside of technology. One of the stories that people ask me a lot is how I got into blogging, and it's a story I don't like to tell very often because it's not a very happy story. So it was 2011. I was in school at the time. I was going to college full time. I had a part-time job, and I was living at home with my dad, who convinced me to live at home to pursue my studies because he wanted to help me out with my education, and I wanted to let him help me out. Anyway, in October of 2011, my dad suddenly passed away from a heart attack. I'll never forget that phone call. It hit me like a bulldozer, and it was one of the saddest days of my entire life. I remember getting the phone call at around noon, 12:30ish, and then I don't remember anything for 3 or 4 days. It was pretty bad. So I started looking for a second job, and at the time I was an avid XDA developers forum goer. And while I was browsing one day, I noticed they happened to have a job board. One of the jobs posted was for an XDA news writer position. They wanted somebody to browse the forums, find the cool stuff that the members were doing, and then write about it. Since I was doing 2 out of those 3 things already anyway, I decided to give it a shot. I was in the military for 4 years, and I was part of a broadcast group at the time, or a broadcast unit at the time. And so I kind of use that experience a little bit like, hey, I've done this kind of stuff before, and I'm also doing the other things that you're looking for. So, why not me? So they hired me, and, that began my experience into blogging. Anyways, so about a year after that, I was approached by Darcy Lacouve of Android Authority. He said he liked my passion and my juice. Those who work in Android Authority know how much Darcy loves the word juice. So Android Authority just seemed like the better fit for me, so I switched over to Android Authority. And a couple of months after that, they started paying me enough to where I could quit my other job, and from that point forward, this is all I've been doing. The whole experience started out terrible, but it turned into something truly amazing. Growing up, even into my early 20s, even into my mid-20s, I never thought that I would be a guy who sat on a keyboard all day clickety-clacketing about applications and video games and all that stuff. I'd always hoped. But I never thought that this was something I would actually be doing. So the whole experience taught me that, you know, bad things happen. Bad things happen to everybody. But, you know, if you can find the silver lining, sometimes some really awesome things can happen. And now here I am, standing here in my bedroom, staring at a camera, telling you guys about my life story, and I would not be here if, you know, that horrible thing hadn't happened. So, you know, it was one of the saddest days of my life, but it also started probably one of the greatest adventures that I'm ever going to have. Okay, let's hop back up on the non-depressing train here. A couple other fun facts about me. I was born in Cleveland, Ohio. I was raised in Middleport, Ohio, which is a little podunk town that's right next to West Virginia on the Ohio River. I moved to Columbus when I was in 3rd grade, and I've been here ever since. I spent a small amount of time in Columbia, South Carolina when I was in the military. Yes, I was in the military. They used to give me guns. Somebody gave me guns. Oh, let's see, what else about me? I'm a huge hockey fan. Obviously, I root for the Columbus Blue Jackets because I live here. That's the home team. I am not into football or basketball or any other sport, so like we have this whole Buckeye fever thing going here, and I'm not really a part of that. You know, I do the OHIO thing, you know, that we do here, but otherwise I don't really watch any of that stuff. I got into hockey in 2009 when I started doing a fantasy hockey league with a friend of mine, and my interest has ballooned out after that. Let's see, some miscellaneous fun facts about Joe Hindy. I don't have a music preference. I can listen to pretty much anything, although if I had to really say, I prefer punk rock and funk music above everything else. I've seen Parliament Funkadelic 6 or 7 times. I've been to a bunch of hippie concerts. I went and saw Styx live a couple of times. That's a great show, by the way. I do love seeing the Trans-Siberian Orchestra every year around Christmas time because they put on a really great show. And it's really the same thing for television and movies. I mean, there really isn't anything that I can't watch and enjoy. I mean, I used to watch 2.5 Men religiously because I think Charlie Sheen is hilarious. But I have a lower tolerance for nonsense than most people, and that allows me to enjoy a much wider range of things. And I'm usually not ashamed of it. I have a Kelly Clarkson album. Deal with it. Well, that about does it for me, everybody. As always, don't forget to subscribe to the Android Authority YouTube channel, and if you want to follow me on Twitter or Google+, those links are in the video description below. I assure you I'm a lot more interesting to talk to than I am when I'm talking to myself on camera. Thanks for watching, everybody, and I'll see you in my next video. Let's see, what else? I used to smoke pot. I can't put that on there. Kind of wish I still did. It would have made this video easier.